Welcome to the 7 of the African Languages Conference and African Languages Week. The African Languages Conference 2024 is organized by Adinamang Kulibali of Linguistic Consult and Avishta Siras of the Lingua Culture Experience and Christian Ilongwe of Cabot Group. The African Languages Conference has the sponsorship of Hybrid Links and the support of the African Academy of Languages, also known as ACALAN. The African Languages Conference serves as a pivotal platform for language activists, scholars, linguists, educators, and enthusiasts to converge, exchange ideas, and foster collaborations aimed at promoting the rich tapestry of African languages. The 2024 edition of the conference is on the theme African Languages, Challenges, and Opportunities. Today's session is going to be focused on exploring linguistic diversity in Africa, and it's going to be held in Swahili and English. This session delves into Africa's linguistic diversity, surveying languages and their classification. We'll explore language families, emphasizing distinctive traits. Shifting gears to translation challenges, will spotlight issues rooted in cultural nuances and linguistic structures. Examining translation's pivotal role in information access, we'll discuss how it can bridge linguistic divides. The impact of translation technologies on African languages will be analyzed, showcasing their potential to enhance inclusivity. At this juncture, I would like to hand over the mic to our speakers to introduce themselves and begin with the session. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you so much for having us here. My name is Faith Wangui. I am a Swahili teacher. I reside in Kenya and I'm Kenyan by nationality. I am so happy to be here and to talk about African languages and Africa's linguistic diversity. And as you've heard, we will showcase mainly and rotate mainly around Swahili. Thank you. Let me invite my co-panelist to introduce herself and then we can kick off.
Thank you so much. My name is Mary Mwangi. I am a Kenyan by nationality. I'm a teacher by profession, been teaching Swahili in Kenya for about 5 years now. I'm also a certified interpreter and translator. So I'm so happy to be here. We are going to talk about translation challenges, the issues rooted in cultural nuances and linguistic divides. You're very welcome. Back to you, Faith.
Thank you. Thank you so much. As you've heard, we are going to talk first. We are going to start talking about languages and their classification. We will emphasize on language families and their distinctive traits. Remember, we are focusing on Swahili. We will also talk about translation challenges and issues rooted in cultural nuances and linguistic structures. We will also talk about the role of a translator in information access and bridging linguistic divides. Because I don't know, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, I am also a certified Swahili interpreter and translator. That is why this is so important to me to talk about the role of a translator in information access and bridging linguistic divides. Again, focusing on Swahili. And we will finally talk about the impact of translation technologies on African languages and the potential to enhance inclusivity. Thank you and welcome. So I will start. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. I've shared my screen. Can someone confirm that you can see my screen, please?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's start with Africa's linguistic diversity. Under this, we will highlight the complexity and richness of the Africa's linguistic heritage. Okay, you know, Africa has many languages. Actually, it is the most linguistically diverse continent on Earth. And why are we saying this? Because Africa's linguistic landscape include over 3,000 languages that are spoken across the continent, although we may say that these estimates vary depending on the definition of a language versus a dialect. Also, we have around 1,250 to 2,100 languages that are recognized as native tongues, with Nigeria having over 500 languages. I know talking about Nigeria having over 500 languages, it's such an icon. And of course, it comes with some downsides, but I'm sure the advantages are far much more than the downsides. Okay, the languages of Africa break down into 4 large families with an addition of an Austronesian family spoken in Madagascar. As you can see here, the pink part is showing where the Austronesian family is spoken in Madagascar. The 4 main continental language families are the Niger-Congo, also commonly known as the Bantu languages. We have the Afro-Asiatic, also commonly known as the Cushitic languages, and the Nilo-Saharan, also known as the Nilotic languages. And finally, we have the Khoisan languages. Let's start talking about the Khoisan languages. Remember, I will just highlight about the 3, the Khoisan, the Nilo-Saharan, and the Afro-Asiatic, because my main focus will be on the Niger-Congo Bantu, because that is where Swahili comes in. So remember, each language family has distinctive traits such as shared vocabulary, grammatical structures, and phonological features that set them apart from other language families. Okay, so let's start with the Khoisan. This is believed to be the oldest of the 4 language families, and it is the smallest, and it is mainly found in the southern parts of Africa with like 40 to 70 member languages. Let's talk about the other one, the Afro-Asiatic Cushites. I believe it's second. It's second according to the number of people who speak that language. It's as you can see, I'm sorry, we are talking about the Nilo-Saharan, the one in yellow. It's the second from the bottom, the second smallest. So the Nilo-Saharan or the Nilotic languages consist of about 80 languages. They occupy the eastern parts of Africa and also some northern regions of Africa like Chad. They also occupy Sudan. We have in Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, etc. Okay, let's go to the Afro-Asiatic languages, which we have also called them the Cushitic languages. This is the second largest family in the, it's the second largest language family. It has about 200 to 300 member languages in Africa. It's mainly found, as you can see on the map, in the northern regions of Africa, which includes Nigeria, southern Niger, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and the northern African countries like Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Let's now talk about the Niger-Congo. The Niger-Congo, with approximately 1,350 to 1,650 languages. I know this is massive. The language is the largest of the 4, and it is also the largest language family in the world, not only in Africa. So the Niger-Congo languages inhabit the western, central, eastern, and southern parts of Africa. The most widely spoken language in the Niger-Congo languages is Swahili, which has over 200 million speakers. It's followed by Yoruba, which has around 45 million speakers, Igbo with 30 million speakers, and then Fula with 35 million speakers. All these languages belong to the Niger-Congo family. Because we are speaking more about Swahili, let me dive directly into Swahili. Swahili is also known as the Kiswahili language, locally known as Kiswahili, is a Bantu language that developed along the East African coast, particularly in what is now the Kenya, Tanzania, and some parts of Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and the DRC, Congo. The development of Swahili as a language has been influenced by various things. First was the Bantu migration. You all know about the Bantu migration from the Congo forests from the Congo forest, briefly, the Bantu migrated into different parts of Africa, and they came in 4 waves. But only one wave managed to enter East Africa, and that is the wave in where Kiswahili was found. Okay, so the roots of Swahili can be traced back to the Bantu migration, which started around 2000 BC. The Bantu-speaking people migrated from West Africa to various parts of the sub-Saharan Africa, and they brought about their culture, which included language. Okay, so what brought about the Swahili is the trade, the language wave, which entered the eastern parts of Africa. Okay, and of course, it entered through Uganda, down to Tanzania, and then up towards the Kenyan coast. There are some language families like the Afro-Asiatic and the Nilo-Saharan languages, which entered through Uganda, and then to Sudan, and then to Kenya. Something else which has led to the development of Swahili as a language is trade and contact. Swahili emerged as a language of trade and communication along the East African coast due to its strategic location along the Indian Ocean trade. The Swahili coast was a hub for trade between the African interior traders from the Arabian Peninsula, the Persia, India, and even further east. This led to a significant amount of cultural exchange, including adoption of loanwords from the Arabs, the Persians, and later the Portuguese. Because if you know the East African history, you will know that around 1500 BC, the Portuguese had invaded the eastern coast of Africa. Okay, something else which led to the development of Swahili was the Arabic influence. You know, Arab traders and settlers had a profound impact on the Swahili language. They brought about Islam, which was their religion with it. They also brought about words, particularly which were related to that religion, and also to trade and also to administration. You know, the Arabs had actually conquered the East African coast, and that led to them spreading Swahili. Remember, there is a narrative that says that Swahili came about because of the intermarriage between coastal Bantu and the Arabs. And there was a need for them to have a language of trade, a language of communication, and therefore they came up with Swahili. Something else that led to Swahili development was the European colonization era. During the colonial era, Swahili came into contact with European languages, particularly Portuguese. We have very many Portuguese words in Swahili. I think I will give examples later. German, you know, Tanzania was originally a German colony. So, and also English. Kenya was a British colony, and also Uganda. So the European colonization further influenced the language through adoption of new concepts, technology, and administrative structures. Something else that led to the development of Swahili as a language, and this is actually my favorite, is the standardization of Swahili. This one we call it usanifishaji wa Kiswahili. Swahili was began to be standardized in the 19th and 20th century with the establishment of colonial administrations. Efforts were made to develop standardized orthography and grammar rules, dictionaries, leading to the creation of a standardized form of Swahili, which we now call Kiswahili Sanifu. That is the standardized form of Swahili. Something else which led to development of Swahili as a language was Swahili was made a national language in two main countries, Tanzania and Kenya, immediately after independence. It played a crucial role in nation building, and also efforts fostering unity among diverse ethnic groups within these countries. You know, we were just from colonization. We needed something to unite us. And Kiswahili was one of the main things that united Africans after colonization, after they gained their independence. Okay, so we've talked overall about the development of Swahili as a language. I know is a testament to the complex interplay of historical, cultural, and economic factors, as well as its adaptability to changing circumstances over time. As I've told you, Swahili has variety of words borrowed from other languages, and mostly Portuguese and Arabic. For example, we have a Swahili word called pesa, which means money. That Swahili word is derived from a Portuguese word, peso. Okay, things like mesa in Portuguese, it's mesa. Kofia, which means hat. Mesa means table. Kofia, which means hat. It's also borrowed from a Portuguese word, kofia. We have something else, mashua. You know, during those times, it was where they were exploring. You remember people like the Vasco da Gama, those people were exploring and they really made use of the Indian Ocean. So there were vocabularies which surrounded the particular context which were being used, like mashua, which means a boat, or a canoe, which is derived from the Portuguese word mashua. Okay. These loanwords reflect the historic influence of Portuguese explorers, traders, and colonialists along the Swahili coast, particularly during the 15th to 18th centuries. Over time, these words became integrated into Swahili vocabulary and are still in use until today. We also said that Swahili has undoubtedly great Arabic influence, which ranges from the vocabulary, from the way of life, from the architectural designs, so many Arabic influence. Some words include salam. In Arabic, it means peace, as just like in Swahili. Safari, it's Arabic, which means a journey or a trip, which it also means a journey or a trip. It's exact same words in Swahili and Arabic. Okay, I know, and I know we had our first session with one of the speakers who really talked about Swahili. I really enjoyed that session, and this is controversial, of course. Swahili, we really want to own Swahili as an African language, despite it being intermingled with so many cultures from different languages like the Arabic and the Portuguese. I believe this is something which can be achieved. Of course, it will take so many efforts from all Africans, and I'm sure it can be achieved. So on to my next subtopic, I'd like to talk about the Swahili distinctive characteristics or traits which are also found in other Bantu languages. I wish you all can learn Swahili. Swahili is one of the greatest languages. Beautiful, very, very beautiful languages. I myself speak around, how many languages? I think 3. I speak Swahili, Kikuyu, some bits of some local languages here and there, but I'm telling you, Swahili is a beautiful language, and it's a well-developed language, and then thanks to all those people who participated in building it. And while we are talking about that, we'd like to look at the distinctive characteristic or traits which are found in Swahili. For example, we have the noun class system. This one we call ngeli in Swahili. Yeah? Noun classes are essential feature of Bantu languages like Swahili. They categorize nouns based on shared characteristics like shape, size, or function rather than just gender. Swahili has a system of 18 noun classes, each denoted by a specific prefix. Okay, I won't go to the details of all these noun classes, but I have some examples here. For example, we have here mti from class 3, which is the plural form, the singular form of class 3. The plural form is miti. Okay, we have nyumba, we have mwanafunzi, this is class 1, which includes mostly, and then also these classes, we have 3 main noun class systems. So in the main noun class system, which we use, the class 1 is used to annotate things which are living things. So mwanafunzi means a student, and it's found in the class 1 noun system. The class 2 noun system is the plural form of the class 1 noun system, which is wanafunzi, okay, which means students. Okay, we have another word, watoto, children, that is plural. Mtoto, it's singular. That's so beautiful. Okay, so remember that each noun class has a corresponding agreement marker that appears on adjectives, verbs, and other parts of speech to agree with the noun it modifies or refers to. This agreement system is crucial for grammatical use in Swahili sentences. Something else, we have the agglutinative morphology of Swahili. Okay, where affixes are added to the root word to indicate grammatical function. And third, which is also a very favorite part, distinctive trait of Swahili, is the verb conjugation. Swahili verbs are conjugated to indicate tense, aspect, mode, and also subject agreement. Conjugation, which we call mnyambuliko, involves the addition of prefixes, which we call viambishi awali, and suffixes, which we call viambishi tamati, to the verb roots or the mzizi, resulting in a wide varieties of verb forms. Okay, so for example, we have kula, which means to eat. But when you say nili kula, it means I ate. When you say una kula, which means you're eating, and atakula, which means he or she will eat. Okay, we have the roots. The root here is L, or simply the root, which is L, which we are adding prefixes and suffixes. Okay, that's it from me for now. Let me invite my partner Maria to talk about the role of a translator or interpreter in information access and bridging linguistic divides. Okay. Thank you. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk about the role of a translator or interpreter in information access, bridging linguistic divides. Now, translators and interpreters play a crucial role in bridging linguistic divides and facilitating communication between individuals and communities that they serve as mediators between two different languages and cultures, helping to bridge information, stories, and culture from different parts of the world to people who might never have the chance of learning a second or a third language. Now, the role of a translator is to create a bridge and aid others to cross cultural and linguistic boundaries. They should have the mastery of fields like translation, interpretation, work organization, procurement of services, and management of intercultural communication processes. Translations represents the place where cultures previously separated come together and establish ongoing relations. Therefore, a translator is not just the person who translates words, but the one who can find the best way to transpose the main ideas so that the intended audience gets them right. Interpreters, on the other hand, work with spoken communication and are experts at delivering meaning during verbal conversation in real time. They engage people who speak different languages to communicate effectively in meetings, court dramas, medical appointments, and international negotiations. Interpreters must listen very carefully to what the person is saying, retain it, and immediately translate it into the target language. They have to capture the speaker's nuances, emotions, and tone, and make sure that the testimony of a witness is accurately communicated to all parties, catching not just the words said, but also the witness manner and emotional complexity. Both translators and interpreters require professional qualifications and have thorough knowledge of the two languages they work with, including fluency, sentence structure, grammar, idiom, slang, and more. They also have an in-depth knowledge of the culture, customs, traditions, and so on of both the languages they work with. Now, here's how our translators and interpreters contribute to information access, and this is very, very important. They facilitate communication. Goes without saying that translators and interpreters enable communication between individuals or groups who speak different languages. They act as intermediaries, conveying messages accurately and effectively to ensure mutual understanding. That is why translators and interpreters ought to have excellent advanced knowledge of the topic in question or do massive amount of research. Otherwise, subtle or even not so subtle nuances of the meaning would be missed. They also ensure accuracy. It is crystal clear that interpreters and translators strive to maintain accuracy and fidelity to the original message while conveying it in the target language. They carefully consider nuances of the language, context, and cultural sensitivity to produce high-quality translations and interpretations. For this reason, they must have excellent attention to detail, the tenacity needed to solve translation difficulties. They must have the inherent focus application needed to ensure their translations are always fully accurate and well worded. So they also break down barriers. This is very important. Translators and interpreters help break down linguistic barriers that may impede access to information, resources, and services. By providing translations and interpretation, they empower individuals to access education, healthcare, legal assistance, and other essential services in their own languages. That is why human translation, even amongst the wondrous technology of this age, is as necessary as it has ever been. In fact, with the increasing interconnectivity of our world, human translation perhaps is more critical than it has ever been. Translators and interpreters also promote inclusivity they play a vital role in promoting inclusivity and diversity by ensuring that the language is not a barrier to participation. They enable individuals from diverse linguistic backgrounds to fully engage in social, cultural, and economic activities within their communities and beyond. Something else is that translators and interpreters help in preserving culture or cultural identity. They contribute to the preservation by facilitating the translation of literature, folklore, historical documents, and other cultural artifacts into different languages. In this way, they help ensure that cultural heritage is accessible to speakers of diverse languages. Now, a good example is the documentary that is known as Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which is translated into Swahili. It's called Pembezoni mwa Bahari ya Hindi. The Periplus of the Erythraean Sea is an eyewitness account of an ancient travel to Africa and India through the Red Sea. In this detailed account, the conditions of the routes are described, along with the ports along the way, the demeanor of the locals, and the major imports and exports. It is the first record of organized trading with the nations of the East, which marks the turning of a tide of commerce which had set in one direction without interruption from the dawn of history. Interpreters also and translators also support international cooperation. As you all know, in an increasing increasing globalized world, translators and interpreters will support international cooperation and diplomacy by facilitating communication between individuals, organizations, and governments across linguistic and cultural boundaries. They enable collaboration, negotiation, and exchange of ideas on a global scale. Translators and interpreters also enhance access to information by translating materials such as books, articles, websites, and documents, as well as providing interpretation services for meeting, conferences, and events, thereby ensuring that information is available in multiple languages. The other thing that is very important is that translators and interpreters empower marginalized communities. They work with marginalized communities, including refugees, immigrants, indigenous people, and minority language speakers by providing language support and amplifying their voices. Translators and interpreters empower these communities to advocate for their rights, access services, and participate fully in the society. Translators and interpreters play a vital role in information access by bridging linguistic divides and facilitating communication between individuals and communities that speak different languages. They help to create a bridge and aid others to cross cultural and linguistic boundaries, enabling people to communicate effectively and access information that they might not have been able to otherwise. My next subtopic is about translation challenges. We look at the issues rooted in cultural nuances and linguistic divides. Translation faces numerous challenges, particularly when dealing with cultural nuances and linguistic divides. These challenges often arise due to complexities of cultural nuances and linguistic differences, as exemplified by the case of Swahili. Now, some of these issues include cultural context. Now, the meaning of words can vary greatly depending on their use within a particular culture. For instance, the word Harambee is commonly translated into English as pulling together or working together. But it's true. Significance lies in the collective spirit it embodies among Swahili speakers. Also, in high context cultures and the focus is mainly on the people involved, and the relationships are a key part of communication. Those who are into interpretation can bear me witness that sometimes there are things that the provider is going to ask the people who have limited English proficiency, and they will laugh. For example, whenever the provider asks a question on gender, the first thing they do is to laugh because they don't understand. Why are you asking about my gender? Yet it's crystal clear. You can see I'm male or I'm female. Why do you have to keep asking me? If you ask them about sex orientation, that one is an offense to them. They feel very offended. The other thing is linguistic complexity. Swahili has multiple dialects that may lead to misunderstandings if not properly accounted for during translation. These variations can be found even between neighboring regions like Tanzania and Kenya. Due to culture, regionalism, and slang, there are words and expressions that will not translate literally between countries. In this case, you must know what they mean in order to interpret them. Tonal language. Now, Swahili is a tonal language where the meaning of a word can change based on the tone used. Translating tonal languages into non-tonal languages can lead to misunderstandings if the tone is not preserved. Now, it all depends with where the stress is. For example, we have this word in Swahili, barabara, barabara. The spelling is the same, pronunciation is the same. The difference is where you put the stress. Now, if you just say barabara, you simply mean a road. But if you say barabara, you're telling us that everything is okay. When you talk about a word like mlango, mlango, if you just say mlango, that's a door. But if you say mlango, that's a family. This another word, karibu. Karibu, if you just say karibu nyumbani, you're simply telling us welcome home. But if you say nilikuwa karibu kuanguka, you're simply telling us you almost fell. So the difference comes with where you put the stress. Gender and formality. Swahili, like many languages, has different forms of addressing individuals based on gender and formality. Translating these nuances accurately into languages that do not have such distinctions can be complex. Now, in most African communities, we do not address people who are older than us by their names. For example, if I want to visit my friend who is called Faith, and her mom is called Susan. So when I get to the home, I won't say, hello, Susan, just because she's there. Because she's older than me, I cannot address her as Susan. I have to be respectful. So in Swahili, I'll say, habari yako Mama Susan. That is something that cannot literally translate into English. In that case, you find that we Africans, we have so many aunties, uncles, grandpas, grandmas, because our friends' mothers are our mothers. Their uncles are our uncles. Their grandpas, their grandmas are ours also, because we have to show respect. Idiomatic expressions. Idioms are common across languages, but they might have different meanings or connotations when used in other cultures. In Swahili, idioms such as kufikia mkia wa kiboko, to catch the tail of hippopotamus, convey the idea of trying to achieve something unattainable. Now, we have unique phrases and saying, we have unique phrases, sayings, and also terms that encompass much more than the literal definitions. For example, in Swahili, we have the saying, kuzunguka mbuyu. Now, if you translate that literally, you're going to say, going round a baobab tree, which doesn't make any sense, right? Kuzunguka mbuyu means taking bribes. Now, there's also technical terminology. Translating technical terminology from Swahili to another language can be challenging, especially if the target language does not have similar technical terms. For example, translating medical terminology accurately requires specialized knowledge and expertise, as we've seen, of course, in the previous examples. Now, to overcome these challenges, professional translators must possess both linguistic expertise and cultural sensitivity. They should understand the target audience's background and preferences while maintaining fidelity to the original text. Machine learning algorithms and neuro machine translation system continue to improve, but human intervention remains essential for accurate and cultural sensitive translation. Effective communication across language and cultures relies on translators' ability to navigate this complexity skillfully and ethically. Now I'm going to invite my co-panelist, Faith, to talk about our next subtopic, to take us through our next subtopic. Back to you, Faith.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mary, for enlightening us on that. Actually, things to do with interpretation and translation are one of my favorite subjects to talk about. You won't believe the impact of interpretation, because we've been in that field, and I know so many people here are also interpreters, and because that is a part of being a linguist, right? So in so many occasions, you will realize the pivotal role that you're playing in people's lives. A lack of understanding a certain language can bring about a can of worms, especially if you are in a foreign country. Okay, like for example, you see the refugees who come from the central parts of Africa, or from Africa generally, and go to the United States or to the UK. Those people are in dire need of interpreters and translators, because without them, there's so many misunderstandings that can come along. We are privileged as the Swahili speakers, because the AI has really made very big steps in translation, Swahili translation. Yes, as my co-panelist has said, that there is no way it will ever match human translation, but we can also agree that machine translation has come a long way. Okay, yeah, the reason it cannot match human translation is because, as we've said, translation is not just about saying a certain word in a different language. It's about also involving the mood, the tone, the register, all that. Okay, yeah, because they have impacts on the message. Remember, you want to convey the message as accurately and as completely as you would. And that comes with a lot of challenges because these are two different languages spoken by people who have lived in two different cultures, okay? You might actually use a word, as my co-panelist has said, and it totally means a different thing, or it doesn't bring out the intended meaning, or words which actually means the same, like an orthopedic is a bone doctor, you see, but we have orthopedic as a high register word and a bone doctor as a low register word. So knowing how to translate an orthopedic to a Swahili speaker, it's an art which AI, I don't think, maybe currently or in the near future, we are there yet. I don't think we're there yet, okay? So let's talk about impact of translation technologies on African languages. Now, remember, we are basing on Swahili mostly, and their potential to enhance inclusivity, okay? So as we've heard, translation technologies have the potential to significantly enhance inclusivity in African languages by overcoming those linguistic barriers and expanding access to information. Okay, let's dive into ways in which these translation and interpretation technologies how they can impact African languages positively. I am sure all of you know there's quite a difference between translation and interpretation, whereby translation focuses on written content and interpretation is live, okay? Live and it's spoken context. One of the ways is that it enhances increased accessibility. Translation technologies such as machine translation systems and language processing tools can make information more accessible to speakers of African languages by translating content from the dominant languages into African languages, okay? Most of these African languages are called languages of lesser diffusion because, of course, we have the dominant languages, okay? This can include educational materials, government documents, health information, and digital contents. I really hope that Swahili in the near future will stop becoming a language of lesser diffusion because, as we've said, right now it's spoken by over 200 million people. And during our first session, our speaker told us that when you go to those European countries and also to America, you will find so many white people enrolling in Swahili classes, more white than Black people. So we are so proud of having a language, an African language, which can unite us and can also unite people globally. Something else is about empowerment of minority languages. Translation technologies can empower minority languages in Africa by providing them with a platform for digital representation. Minority languages speakers can use the translation tools to create and share content in their languages and therefore preserving linguistic diversity and cultural heritage. I cannot overemphasize the importance, the sweetness in you reading something in your own language, in your native language. That means you don't have to waste time thinking the meaning of a word before processing the meaning of the whole sentence. It's just like syncs all in together, you see? Something else, it facilitates the impact of machine or translation technologies. Another impact is that it facilitates communication. Translation technologies facilitate communication between speakers of different African languages and between African languages and international languages. This fosters, of course, collaboration, knowledge exchange, and cultural exchange, cultural dialogues, and such things. across all linguistic divides, and it promotes inclusivity and understanding. Okay. For example, if a white person knows even a single Swahili word like jambo, they feel as if they are on top of the world. They feel like they belong, you see? And that is what we want to do. It's to promote inclusivity, okay? And also understanding. Okay, so many times during my, when I'm interpreting for people who are from different language groups and mostly Swahili or Kikuyu, because I'm also a Kikuyu interpreter, you can say that when the English speaker asks the Swahili speaker, which language are you using? And they say Swahili. They just light up. They start telling you stories about how I spent time in Kenya, I spent time in Tanzania. They start telling you Hakuna Matata, which means there's no problem. And that shows how they feel included. They feel they can relate to you. Okay. Yeah. And that is how the importance and impact of translation. Okay. We have enhanced education. Translation technologies have can support education in African languages by providing translated educational materials, textbooks, and online resources. This enables students to learn in their native languages, which has been shown to improve learning outcomes and retention rates. This is actually proven. Okay, learning in your native language improves retention and learning outcomes. As I've told you, you don't have to worry about first understanding the meaning of words so that you can understand the meaning of a whole sentence. Okay, there is a book which was translated, and it's called in English it's called Oedipus the King, and in Swahili it's called Mfalme Edipode. That book I think was originally written in Greek and then translated into English and then into Swahili. When reading that book in Swahili, you feel as if you're relating. Actually, you feel as if it was originally written in Swahili, thanks to translation technologies. And of course, when we are talking of translation technologies, we are not exclusively talking about machine translation. We are also including human translation, because machine translation are not useful if there is no human translation. Okay, so learning in your native languages. And I'm so glad because African countries are taking the steps to actually ensure that African languages are taught in schools. For example, in Kenya, we have a curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum, which was recently introduced by the former government, and it enables kids to actually learn their native languages. I have a small sister who is right now in grade 7. And I went home the other day and found her reading Kikuyu books. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. And she can read a Kikuyu Bible. And Kikuyu is another language which is very complex. It has 7 vowels. And I understand, I don't think if there is, it's one of the few languages which have more than 5 vowels. It's a difficult language. But my younger sister was reading so fluently, okay? And reading these subjects in your native language will increase the learning outcomes and the goals and retention rate. And this will further lead to even more innovation in such things. Okay, it also leads to community development. Translation technologies contribute to community development initiatives by enabling the translation of development programs and also government projects and civic engagement materials into local languages. This ensures that community members can access and participate in initiatives that directly affect their lives. Okay, I'm sure we cannot overemphasize the importance of having legal documents translated in your own language. Okay, it also leads to a promotion of indigenous knowledge. Translation technologies can facilitate the translation, knowledge of indigenous practices and cultural resources into African languages. This helps to preserve and promote indigenous knowledge systems, fostering pride in the cultural heritage and identity of us as Africans. Okay, and something else, the digital inclusion. Translation technologies promote digital inclusion by making online content accessible to speakers of African languages. This includes social media platforms, e-commerce websites, and other digital services, allowing African language speakers to participate fully in the digital economy. For example, you can change your Google to display the language you want, especially Swahili is very, very advanced in those sectors. Not perfect, of course, but it has really taken some steps. We can, it also supports multilingualism. Translation technology supports multilingualism by enabling the coexistence of multiple languages in digital spaces. This encourages the use of African languages alongside international languages, reinforcing the value of linguistic diversity and promoting cultural exchange. Okay, so we can say overall the impact of translation technologies on African languages has the potential to enhance inclusivity by breaking down the linguistic barriers, promoting cultural diversity, and empowering speakers of African languages to participate fully in the digital age. However, it is very important to address challenges such as linguistic resource scarcity, dialectal variations, and accuracy issues to realize the full potential of translation technologies in Africa. Okay. However, it is essential to note that translation technologies alone, as we've said, cannot fully resolve the challenges related to language inclusivity. Human intervention remains indispensable for ensuring cultural appropriateness, maintaining data privacy, and avoiding offensive translations. As you know, the rules like HIPAA came about because of this, to enhance and maintain data privacy. Additionally, investment in translation technologies and curricula should prioritize African languages to foster fair representation in the global affairs. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for those who initiated the African Languages Conference. This has really been an educative platform, especially to create awareness of the African languages and also how the importance of including African languages in global affairs.
Reminded that we were supposed to also present in Swahili a little bit, and since we have come to the conclusion, I'd like to say some few Swahili greetings. So there are some very common Swahili greetings like jambo. So when you come to Swahili speaking countries, the most common greeting will be jambo. And the response is jambo. When people are many, you can tell them hamjambo, and the response is hatujambo. If it's just one person, you can just tell them hujambo, and they're supposed to respond with sijambo. Hujambo, sijambo. Jambo, jambo. Hamjambo, hatujambo. Habari yako, nzuri ama mzuri? Alaikum salam. Salam alaikum. Faith, I think you can add some more.
Okay, I think you can, we can converse in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do this. Hujambo, Bi Maria.
Sijambo sana, Bi Faith.
Uhali gani?
Hali yangu njema sana.
Pia yangu njema. Sina la kuamba.
Hiyo ni mzuri. Siku yako iko vipi?
Siku yangu ni nzuri. Kuna jua mahali ambapo nipo. Tunamshukuru Mungu.
Namshukuru Mungu pia kwa kutupatia nafasi hii mzuri ya kuweza kuzungumzia watu kuhusu mambo ambayo ni muhimu sana katika maisha hasa ya watafsiri wa lugha ya Kiswahili.
Ndio. And also, actually, the most important word is asante sana. We are really grateful for this. And when we say asante, we mean thank you. Asante sana, thank you so much. Okay.
Asanteni sana na muwe na wakati mzuri. Kwaheri is also very, very important. Kwaheri means goodbye. Kwaheri.
Yes. Kwaheri, everyone.